What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, and welcome back to another edition of MVP Sports Live right here on either twitch.tv/MVPvids or MVP Sports on YouTube. I am joined, as I always am, by my beautiful co-host, Dave Oster.
Feels like you're yelling almost. I had to turn you down for like the second time today.
I mean, so I might be a little into it, Dave, because I know you have not seen it. First off, it's a mixture of two things. Number one is I like to start the show with some energy, and maybe this time I went a little bit too far. Plus, maybe got a little bit too close to the mic. But also, I wanted to start today's show off because apparently, Dave, there was a comment out there on one of our videos that I need to ask you, Dave. Do you think it's weird, or do you feel weird that I call you a beautiful co-host?
Not really at this point.
Because, I mean, yet again, this is something, I'm bringing it to the comment section because we got in the comment section. I tweeted about this also because it's 2020, Dave. I thought we were very inclusive in 2020. I don't know if you've seen this comment, but we got a comment on our Wolves video. Basically, are they gay? Why does the fat guy call the other guy beautiful? And I tweeted that and said, apparently another man can't call another man beautiful in 2020. Thanks, YouTube comments. Hashtag stay beautiful. Hashtag be your own beautiful, Dave.
Nice. I like that. I mean, like, I like how you're just referred to as the fat guy and I'm just the other guy. Like, there's no generic descriptive term for me. I'm just the other guy. I'm more insulted by that than what he was insinuating. No, fuck that piece of shit. Why didn't he say? Why does the fat guy Why does the fat guy call the beautiful guy beautiful? Is that what you were looking for, Dave? Because you're the beautiful co-host. I mean, my problem is more like you literally just get done saying your own name and you can't get your name right. Like 8 seconds before the word beautiful is, my name's Ricky Widmer. And he couldn't none of that.
It even and this is a YouTube comment. Like on Twitch, I understand because we don't have the graphic like on the Twitch stream. But like on a YouTube video, if you didn't hear it, it shows also. So like I get there's some people that are not watching, they're just listening to it. But like you said, I say it, but then it's also like Dave Oster and Ricky Widmer are right there. But it blew my mind, Dave, because I thought we were in 2020. I thought we were past the whole another man can't call another man beautiful, Dave. Just a funny thing about our culture and where we're at in the world. But you guys aren't here to listen to me call Dave beautiful. You're here for us to talk sports, MVP Sports Live. A little bit of housekeeping before we start. Number one, the Discord channel where all the real MVPs can get into one place and talk. Before the show, there was some draft talk for the NBA popping off in the Discord. It started off with reason for you posted a Poku Stefsky video. And then I was in there for my one Poku Stefsky comment. And I'm like, okay, I got to get ready for the show. But Dave was saying there was some Spurs conversation as well, right?
Sam brought it up that saying he would be a good Spurs pick. Pop would definitely like a prospect like that, and I was like, I don't know what you're seeing in that, but Pop likes to get guys who know their fundamentals, and then maybe he takes a long shot if they've got a late pick.
Now that Pop's not going to Brooklyn, because we can stop those.
See how many more years Pop is coaching for.
But you can join the Discord, link down below, or !dispoint in Twitter. Patreon.com/MVPvids is where you can help support the show. You can get content early from MVP. You can also participate with the live shows and with other content on the channel. And also thank you to our Patreon producers, Pat Hill and Philly Sean. And Dave, last but not least, I said it already, but I'll say it again. We are on Twitch, twitch.tv/MVPvids, but we're also on YouTube, MVP Sports. So go ahead and follow us at both places. But Dave, we're going to start today with a little speculation, with a little overreaction. Buck fans are going to be like, really, guys? Really? We're starting this? Like, you can't give us one day to mourn being upset by the Heat? No, we can't.
We were chipping the shit after game one. Are you kidding me?
You knew. You had to know this was coming. And we've got some rumors and reports, Dave, as Giannis Antetokounmpo Before this article even came out by Bleacher Report that had the thing I'm going to read in it, I was already like, we're going to talk about this because the Bucks lost and really can Giannis win a title in Milwaukee. But there's a Bleacher Report article here written by Joseph Zucker, and it says in it, the Ringer's Kevin O'Connor reported the Bucks are the clear favorites to sign Antetokounmpo when he becomes a free agent in 2020. However, the Miami Heat, the Golden State Warriors, the Toronto Raptors, the Dallas Mavericks, the Los Angeles Clippers are considering all their options in a potential sign and trade. One of the sources said Giannis had an admiration for Clippers head coach Doc Rivers, O'Connor wrote. And I know, Dave, that's basically, okay, everyone and their grandmother is obviously going to be interested in Giannis Antetokounmpo. Even the Bulls are probably like, hey, do we have a package? No, don't have a package? Okay, at least we looked at it.
Would we like to give up Zach LaVine, Lowry Markin, Wendell Carter Jr., and Otto Porter for him? Yeah, and 3 first picks. Yeah, sure, that's fine.
I mean, I'd do it. But is that what the Bucks want? And the first thing I want to ask with this is, before we get into will he stay, will he go, will the Bucks be like, hey, the writing's on the wall, is I want to get to the point of first of, with what we've seen this year, last year, all of Giannis's time in Milwaukee, do you believe if he stays that Giannis and this Bucks team, like Giannis and the Bucks, can be a future NBA champion down the line?
Sure, why not? I mean, like, what's stopping them from being a future NBA champion down the line? They're a very good defensive team. They're a very good offensive team. Could they use a couple of fine-tuning tweaks? Absolutely. But they got 3 all-NBA defenders on the roster as of today. They've got the back-to-back MVP. That's going to be a sad trophy presentation. You know, the eliminated from the playoffs, here's your MVP trophy.
Didn't he also win all defense? Didn't he win defensive
of the year? Yep. So that's what I'm saying. Like, when you have a team with that much talent, no shit they're going to be able to compete. They just need to put it together. So, I mean, all the gloom and doom out there can go suck a dick at this point.
Are they going to be able to put it together, though? Because obviously they're a talented team,
right?
But will they be able to put together the realization of Giannis holding up a Vince Lombardi trophy with a Bucks jersey?
Vince Lombardi, eh?
Not Vince Lombardi. I'm thinking football. Larry O'Brien trophy with a Bucks jersey on. Football's starting tomorrow, Dave. I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, I gotcha. No, I mean, like, obviously there's some tweaks they need to make to that roster, and unfortunately they're stuck in a situation with cap money where they're at, where they don't have a lot of easy to make moves. And, you know, the spots they need to improve at aren't necessarily ones that they have guys developing on the roster. I mean, like, White Dante's there. DJ Wilson's an interesting piece who hasn't seemed to have ever clicked on that team. I was always so hyped about him coming out, but never really lived up. So they've got that bottom of the roster they need to clean up and maybe make some all-in moves. I've heard the Chris Paul rumors already to Eric Bledsoe, Lopez, and something else moving for Chris Paul, maybe a third team involved to make all the contracts work and not give up everything. But one way or the other, they're going to try to continue to keep this train a-rolling because, again, like, it ain't broke, don't fix it. Kings of the regular season isn't the worst thing in the world, but, like, what it's going to take is Giannis needs to get better if they're going to win a championship.
Well, and I think for me, the thing that, because you've made some great points, the roster construction is one of the first things that you got to think about. We're going to talk a little bit, like, we're going to talk later when we touch the Billy Donovan stuff, also the CP3 rumors, because there was even some nice talk in the Discord about CP3 last night. But, like, I just look at it, and the expiring contracts that they're going to have coming up are like peanuts, guys, like Sterling Brown, Kyle Korver, Pat Connaughton, who, like, those are $1.5 million guys a year. Yeah. Like, they're peanuts.
That's your 7, 8, 9, your 10, 11, 12 kind of guys on the roster.
Yeah, we're like, you have, what's Chris Midd's contract locked down? Like, yeah, he's locked down until 2024. He's got the player option in 2023, and it's like, even if you want to move a Chris Midd, even if you would like to move an Eric Bledsoe who's locked up until 2023,
everybody would like to move on from Bledsoe.
Who's going to,
how good defensively he is?
But, like, that's the thing too of, like, Chris Midd more so would get some suitors, but, like, if you're looking for just a Bledsoe trade, who's going to want that? That's what I think of, like, who's going to want Eric Bledsoe?
Could use point guard. Like Eric Bledsoe's still a good point guard. He just chokes in the playoffs.
But
I mean,
what bad team has what bad team also has a person on their team that could be the one or two? Because the way we're in right now is you need your pseudo big three. You need Giannis your one, Chris Mids your two. Who are you like? What bad team would you pair up with them? Like
Knicks.
The Knicks? That's what you said?
Knicks are the third person in the trade. I've already mocked out the Chris Paul trade. It's Chris Paul goes up to the Milwaukee Bucks, and in perfect irony, I predict he'll get injured next season, therefore causing the struggle, the tragedy, and all the fun drama around it. Just because, why not? He has this incredible healthy season in OKC, but it would be like the gods of karma sweeping down after they make a big deal to pull in the 37-year-old Chris Paul, earning $40-something million at that point. I see them feeling obligated to make a move like Chris Paul. It seems like the perfect floor general for them, who can still contribute on the offense, still a good defensive player. Even though I'm moving on from a all defense player in Eric Bledsoe, I'm pretty sure everybody knows that that's just kind of blowing smoke at this point. He didn't deserve that award as much as two other players should have, but whatever. NBA awards are rigged.
Well, aren't they voted by the writers?
Yep. Should be voted by players.
And also,
they didn't get in. Chris Dunn didn't get in, but Eric Bledsoe got in and Pat Beverly got in. In what world is that equal?
Also, this guy bringing up Ricky using the wrong names. Yes, I did say Eric Gordon once and just slid right by it. But I usually mix up Eric Gordon and Eric Bledsoe when talking about him. Because whenever I say Eric, the first thing I want to say is Gordon. But Soapy brought up something interesting yesterday, Dave, that I didn't necessarily think of. Yeah. Because he's only been with the team for 2 years, is he was saying there was some unrest towards like, oh, the rumor is Budenholzer could be out. To where it's like, okay, he's been there 2 years. In those 2 years, they've gone to the conference final. They've been the best team in the East. Yes, I know it's the weak East, but they've been the best team in the East. Conference finals, they lose last year to the Raptors, who had Kawhi Leonard, NBA champions. And then I think this year's is more shocking because, the rest of the playoffs have to play out. If the Heat miraculously win the title, like the Bucks could just say, hey,
they're pretty fucking good.
We've lost to the champion back-to-back years. Like,
they're basically
there's no shame in that. They're basically the Raptors. But there's a part of me that goes, this Heat loss was so jarring because, yes, I know Giannis got injured, but even before in games 1 through 3 where Giannis was healthy, this was a team led by Jimmy Butler. Like, Jimmy Butler led this young team into a 4-1 win against a Bucks team that everyone was thinking, hey, could this maybe be their year to break through in the East? Like, everyone, we were talking in our predictions of the general consensus was, hey, all they got to do is get to the conference finals. Then basically we were all thinking them and Celtics, that's their toughest matchup. And really it was the round before. And Dave shaking the Mutombo finger.
We all talked about the Miami matchup because Miami dumpstered them in the regular season.
And I picked Miami.
Matchup nightmare against the Bucks, but I had hoped that, they would have gotten through it. On Bud's behalf, though, the dude sucks in the playoff.
Yeah.
He is a amazing regular season coach. You got to remember all the way back to those days of the Spurs East down there in Atlanta. The team with all the all-stars and none of the talent.
Who couldn't win in the playoffs.
60-win team in the regular season, could not win in the playoffs. Literally atrocious playoff performance. And that's the thing. We're seeing it again. We're seeing a team that is excellent in the regular season. They're excellent in space. They're excellent with transition. But when the game slows down, when people game plan against you, and they can really lock in on those matchups, it seems like he doesn't know how to adjust. And that's absolutely murdering this Milwaukee Bucks playoff run. Like, his inability to make mid-game, mid-series adjustments, to pivot, to have his lineups change, to have his timings, his rotations change, any flexibility seems almost non-existent. Like, they have one plan and one plan only.
Yeah. And really, like Soapy brought up yesterday when me and him were talking about it, of like, how do you have a guy like Giannis on your team? And one of the big criticisms of you are you're not playing him enough in the playoffs. And I know that with this Bucks team, they kind of had a little bit of the concern that, like, think back to the 72 win or the year that the Warriors were chasing 72 wins.
Yeah.
One of the big criticisms that we talked a lot about on the fast break at the time was when they get to the playoffs, are the starters going to have enough gas to go an entire game? Because most of the games that season, third quarter, halfway through, all right, sitting the starters, we're up by so much, the bench is playing. And for the Warriors, yes, I know they lost in the title that year, but it went down to a game 7. It didn't really seem to affect them as much as we thought, but they have more stars than Milwaukee has. And when you basically have Giannis and then Chris Midd is your second and then Bledsoe and the rest, it's like this is another team that they were dumpstering teams this year and last year in the regular season to where they were resting starters in the fourth. And I have a feeling that with this team, compared to that Warriors team when we talked about it, they don't have enough quality players to say like, oh, we don't have enough players to pick up the slack. Where it's like if we lose momentum in the fourth, we're kind of fucked because if Giannis or Chris Midd don't have the conditioning in a game, shit, we're fucked. Because what are we going to lean on Bledsoe when we really have to?
I mean, Brook Lopez felt like their big three kind of guy over Bledsoe on the offensive end. There was no conditioning issues in any of these games. That played a non-factor in my mind. Honestly, I think the funnier thing would have been if they had been playing Giannis out there like 42 minutes, 44 minutes a night. And then he goes and gets hurt. Because then you get all the criticism for, we overworked the guy. And, look at the minutes difference from the regular season to the playoffs. You're straining him. You're ruining your best player. And because he didn't do that, that narrative's not there. So it's just like, it's freak injury, whatever. Like, the way the media could have just dug in there would have been interesting for me. So I am disappointed by the fact that Bud did choose to play his strategy out, exactly from the regular season over. And we only got to see an aggressive Giannis for like 12 minutes in that final game where it was just Giannis is the guy who's going to touch the basketball and no one else gets to touch it because he's the best player on the team. And I'm like, yeah, that works. That proved to be effective, very effective right there. Go ahead and keep with that. But I mean, I just wonder going forward, what's next for Giannis? He's got to clean up his free throw. He's got to clean up his shot form. That every year up into this year, he had improved. He needs to go back and tweak that because that got ugly. That got very ugly when he can't count on him to make free throws and he can't count on him to at least draw some attention at that 3-point line. You're not giving yourself your best chance to win.
Yeah, and like Alex from Twitch chat, this was from a while ago, but it was when we were talking about Giannis. He said he should improve his game first. Kind of going into what you said was there's some things that he still needs to improve on. But looking at the other side of this conversation, if Giannis is not with the Bucks, let's say, because we still got a whole nother season of Giannis with the Bucks. Like, there's not going to be a move going from this season into next one. Let's say same thing happens. Bucks make the playoffs. They're number 1 seed. They get bounced in either the second round or the conference finals, one of the two. If Giannis then makes a decision to say, fuck it, I'm out of here, and says to Milwaukee, hey, I know what I said about this team. I know I said I'm here, but I don't see winning here.
A year ago today that I just said that I would never leave Milwaukee and I'm going to play here forever.
Yeah, but we can't trust players, Dave. We can't trust players by their words.
Person who's untrustworthy.
I'm just saying, like, how many other guys have said they're going to stay with teams and then don't? Like, a year changes a lot. That's all I'm saying. But let's say he does have a reflection a year from now and says, I can't win here.
In this bizarro world of yours.
In this bizarro world.
I don't think that'll happen.
What team do you think Giannis would be best for if it's not Milwaukee?
I mean, who knows who's on what team next year is the problem. Like, let me restate that. Who knows what team anyone will be on in 2021? Because that's the year when all the contracts are up. That's the year when Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, they've all got contract options. So with that being said, I would love to see him on the Mavs just for the fact that why not go Team Euro? It'd be disgusting, unstoppable, and hilarious to watch other teams try to defend against Giannis, Luka, and KP. That'd just be a personal nightmare for a lot of people out there. But fit-wise, I mean, like, he can go. Any of the teams you mentioned are solid.
Mm-hmm.
The Raptors would be interesting because he's basically just like what they wished Pascal Siakam would be or would grow up to be.
Would him and Pascal be able to play together?
No, God, no. Pascal would get moved.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely get moved for something they actually need. Maybe a replacement for Kyle Lowry at that point or something.
Mm-hmm.
But the Heat don't seem like the best option, but they would just make it work because they've got incredible coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Lakers, again, like Giannis and LeBron James on the court at the same time doesn't seem like there's no scheme where that just works. It just doesn't. So they're just counting on the fact that we have better talent than you, and our coach might be creative enough to make it work. If not, it's just let LeBron James do LeBron James thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no great fit for him. I'll be honest. No team is better equipped to handle him than the team he's on right now.
See, I disagree in a little bit. I think there's one team that is, I'm going to use the word you said, well-equipped if he goes there, but it's like it's the low-hanging fruit of the argument to where it's like the Warriors. They're the only one where it's like you plug him in with that already veteran-savvy team, championship-savvy team, to where it's basically, it would almost be exactly like when Kevin Durant came over there, where it's like, I don't have to have the pressure all on me because we're just a bunch of superstars playing on this team. But like I said, that's the low-hanging fruit of the argument. Like, oh, go to the Warriors, win a championship. They're already stacked. And
I mean, they would have like 3 players. Like that's the problem with the Warriors in 2021. It would be Steph, Clay, and Dre. That's all you know.
Yeah, Steph, Clay, Dre, and then Giannis. That's all it pretty much was with KD.
Right. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, you say the veteran savvy team. I'm like, they have 3 players. The rest of their team,
that's what I'm talking about. Green, Thompson, and Curry. Yeah. I'm talking about their 3 guys that are there. That's what I mean by veteran savvy, to where it's like, with Miami, you're right. Like, the fit doesn't look, to me, when I say the fit doesn't look right, it's, if he goes to Miami, Jimmy and Giannis are 1-2, and it's, what are we going to see from this Miami Heat team? Because the rest of the roster is very young. The thing I like about the Heat, though, and this isn't me saying Giannis has a problem with this, but I feel like Jimmy could be the perfect pair for Giannis, because Jimmy's a guy where he's going to bring his all each and every game, and he's going to, if you're not going to get up for this game, he's going to make sure you get up for this game.
Or he's going to tell you to sit your ass down.
Or sit your ass down. It's either going to go the easy way or the hard way. And exactly. I kind of feel like there are some moments. There are many moments where Giannis is able to get it up himself, but there are some moments. Some moments where you need some help. And that's where Jimmy Butler came in. That's where Jimmy Butler comes in. And like, I feel like if Jimmy and Giannis are together, that would never, like, it would never be a problem, because like, I feel like the biggest thing that hurt them in the series against the Heat were Jimmy has this young team believing, they're all amped up to where it's like, we're ready for this challenge. We're not going to get counterpunched by this Buck team. Dallas would be nice. Plus, we kind of know where Dallas is going to be, because like you said, KP and Luka are still going to be there, and that's pretty much their like main core of that team. Yep.
And I think Seth Curry might be there under contract through that point as well.
Okay.
Wouldn't hurt having best Curry on your team.
Toronto, I wouldn't even touch it, because I feel like in a sign and trade, what you would have to give up for Giannis just to get Giannis.
Pascal and like 2 1s.
Is it going to be that small? Would they have to give up more players than Pascal? Or would it just be picks?
I was going to say, it might be Pascal 2 1s and like Norm Powell or some shit. I don't know.
Because the thing is,
being crazy. The problem with Miami, though, is like their play style. Like, how the fuck do you. Jimmy Butler plays the same downhill style that Giannis thrives in. Mm-hmm. Giannis is more efficient. Jimmy gets the line more because he's a fucking genius, though.
I think it's the same. I think it's the same question, not exactly the same, but it's the similar issue that many had when it's like, how are Westbrook and Harden gonna work?
No,
there were people out there, Dave.
Shoots. Westbrook drives into a wall and shoots.
There were people. I was one of them. That's like, I don't know if this is gonna work. I was proven wrong, but like I feel like it's the same there. It's like people thought that wouldn't work. It worked out nicely.
It's just similar styles of the paint issue is my problem. It's how do they balance that out? I mean, Bam's got to get a hell of a 3-point shot then.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler's got to find his shot wherever the fuck it disappeared to this year.
Or is Bam in Milwaukee? Is he a part of the sign and trade? Just
Giannis
throwing it out there.
Why wouldn't Giannis walk?
Well, it's an option, but I'm thinking because of what we've seen from Giannis, that if he leaves Milwaukee, he wouldn't just walk. He would give them the what's the word I'm looking for? Basically the gracious of like, hey, I'll do a sign and trade so that you guys get something out of it.
And so I can get a max contract.
That too. Because he'd be re-signing
and then trading. Let me do you a favor, and I'll accept all the money. He's not leaving. Let me just say that. But if he were to leave, I mean, I don't know. I could see him taking a deal with the Warriors would be the easy one. But the problem is it doesn't line up right because, like, obviously they're going to take whoever they take at the top of this draft class. They're going to play out the season with Wiggins. And then they're going to have to go into the next off season and hope that Wiggins can be, still valuable to people. Whoever that top draft pick still has some value, and then move on from. Hopefully, the Timberwolves have a dumpster year, and they can trade like a top 10 pick from the T-Wolves at that point, plus Wiggins, plus that person. Maybe that would be good enough for a sign and trade. Maybe that would work. So.
Yeah, the only team that doesn't work for me, and it fits perfectly into what you said of we don't know what it's going to be like in 2021, is the Clippers. Is Kawhi going to still be there? Is Paul George are they going to be in a situation where Kawhi goes, all right, I want at least one ring with you guys. I'm going to go try to go somewhere else that I want to play in. And are they in scramble mode of, oh my God, we got to bring in another star so that PG doesn't leave? Yet again, not saying that would happen, but you never know. If Kawhi decided to leave, would Paul George do the same thing?
Anywhere but LA. Like if Kawhi goes anywhere, the Lakers or Golden State. Like he's not leaving LA. LA is his home.
Okay.
That's truly like he literally mortgaged like whatever the future of the Spurs were. Said Raptors had a great time winning championship. Good luck, Canada, and walked. Like that's where they're at. He wants to be in LA, so he's going to make whatever decision keeps him in LA. Paul George is a question mark because fucking playoff P, pandemic P. I mean, he is just one end of the scale to the other.
Yeah.
I don't know if Kawhi wants that on his team or if he's looking for something better. I don't know how close those two guys are, if they measure.
Or if they thought coming in like, hey, this will work out, and then, it's not really working out like we thought.
I mean, shit, we heard stories of Paul George and Russ going fishing, and they would love the area and all that shit. And guess what? Both gone. So, it doesn't necessarily have to work out, but that is going to be a team blank slate will be interesting with having basically just Lou Will, Pat Bev, Paul George, Kawhi, all figuring out what the plan is in the following year.
Before we move on, Twitch chat throws something at us. Throws a curveball, Dave, and I want to get your reaction to it. I like Giannis to the Hawks, Plumber says. Fits the timeline.
I love it. They've got the picks. They've got the prospects. They've got, Trey. Why not? That actually works better than half the teams we've mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, we're just assuming it's going to be half the teams we mentioned because, the Hawks aren't a playoff team. But, a non-playoff team that has pieces can still get themselves into the conversation.
On the Memphis Grizzlies. Why not?
A little bit of Memphis. Grayson Allen going to Milwaukee playing with White Dante.
Yeah, Grayson stays. You can stay.
Who's in that deal? Do you know, or are you just throwing it out there? Throw it out there.
Yeah, it's when Giannis walks.
Okay.
Make a deal. Giannis
All
just
right.
walks.
So you're on the. See, maybe I'm on the side of too much on the side of it.
Well, I don't think he's leaving. He's not leaving. I'll say that. So that's why I'm just going to be an asshole and be like, well, he doesn't give a shit about money. Because if he did, he would have signed with the Bucks long term. So he'll just walk and go play with his best buds down in Memphis.
Good point. Let's move on, though. We've talked about Giannis for most of the show. We got a lot more to get into. The first one, Dave, you were probably happy by this move or this news. Not that because it's not that he got fired. They parted ways, so it's not like someone losing their job. They chose to walk away. Yeah. But Billy Donovan, no longer going to be a part of the OKC Thunder. Donovan's contract expired at season's end, and the sides decided against pursuing an extension. We had planned to sit down at the end of the season and discuss the best way to move forward for both us, Thunder's executive vice president and general manager Sam Presti said in a statement. After those discussions, it became apparent that we couldn't provide him the information on the future direction of the team over the next several seasons to give him the level of clarity that he understandably desires at this stage in his career. Therefore, we close this chapter and reflect fondly on all that he has given to our team, organization, and community. Billy will always have a place in the Thunder family. So, Dave, 2 Thunder things we're talking about. The first one is Billy Donovan. What is your thoughts about Donovan leaving the Thunder? Where do the Thunder go from here? Where does Billy Donovan go from here?
I mean, I think Billy Donovan had a great tenure with the Thunder, but clearly this team fell short because of him. Ultimately, not this team this season. Although you have to admit the fact that Russell Westbrook literally knew the inbound play because he hadn't come up with anything new in the last year is kind of hilarious.
That's kind of that's bad. That's bad.
It stings a lot, I'm sure. But to be fair, like most people, I think were kind of being like, "Well, Chris Paul's basically the coach of this team." I know it seemed to the common incentive out there was, well, Chris Paul's going to get a lot of credit for anything positive that happens on this team as far as talent development, anything that happens on the court, their wins, loss, everything up there is basically like, well, if it's wrong, it's Billy Donovan. If it's good, it's Chris Paul credit. Like, I felt that was the setup going into the season, and definitely the way it ended. But yeah, Billy Donovan had been there. They had their big 3. They choked with the big 3. He was unable to get it done with them, and the front office continually made moves, good and bad, to try to change things around to give them the best possible chance to win. It just felt like he was never able to pull the right string on the court, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm happy to see them move on because I think they are going to be a rebuilding team. I think a lot of us expected them to have shipped off more pieces this season instead of competing, but they had a great season. So why hold off on that success? You know, one last hurrah, have a good season. Let the young kids get some playoff experience. Now I'm just terrified that the Bulls will take Billy Donovan seriously as a head coaching prospect.
Now, I was going to get into that, Dave, because our Discord, yet again, Discord, join it, link down below, or ! Discord. We were talking about this last night. And first off, my belief is, I think Sam in the Discord was calling it AKME, which is trying to Garpax Arturis and Eversley. But I believe in them. Whatever the choice they think is right, for the first time in forever, I feel like I believe in your choice.
Wait, professionals who are being paid millions of dollars to do their job.
With that being said, I don't think the Bulls will hire Billy Donovan. I think it's more of something where both Kornisovas and Eversley know, hey, we have to go out there and let's see. Let's give them an interview. It doesn't hurt to give them an interview. That's where I think the Bulls are at with it. I think that us as Chicagoans and Chicago fans, any news comes out and we immediately go, no, don't do that. And we overreact to it. Where it could just be something where it's like, we're just giving them an interview, guys. We're not offering them a job yet.
Look, the only way we have a Billy D is if it's Billy D. Williams. That's the only way it goes down. He's the only guy I would accept as a coach. Because why not? But I don't think Billy Donovan's the right fit for us. I think we're at a similar point in time as the OKC Thunder are actually. Like, we've got some interesting prospects. We've got some guys who are earning some money, but none of these guys are staples as far as being the future of the team. So they could all be shipped out of town at a moment's notice. And it sounds like Billy Donovan wants that sure thing going forward, according to that press release.
Yeah, and I
believe that or not, but, you know, yeah.
Well, and Plummer brings up a good thing in Twitch chat where I was thinking the same thing coming into this. The first question is what does Billy Donovan want, and is he good enough or a right fit to be an NBA head coach? Because you look at his time in the NBA with the Thunder, and yes, they went to the playoffs each year. Yes, they went to the conference finals that first year. I know, very different team than he had now.
3 MVPs.
3 MVPs. That was the 3-1 series before KD got up and left. But ever since then, first round exit, 1 forward. First round exit, 2 forward. First round exit, 1 forward. And then it's like, oh, we have CP3 now. And I know the year before they had Paul George and Westbrook, but it's like this series was the only one that went different, where it's like it was the same result, but at least you went 7. It wasn't like we only won 1 or 2 games. Very different teams, though. And there was a part of me that was thinking coming into this of like, does Billy Donovan just wait to where it's like, because of the pandemic and because of where we're at, like the off seasons are going to be weird for both college and NBA. Yeah. And I was like, does he go back to college? And like Plummer says, Donovan's going to have to go back to college. He most likely doesn't want to play to tank. And like you said, he wasn't winning with the big 3. And it just comes down to then at that point, does Billy Donovan want to go back to college? Or in his mind, is that seen, and yet again, don't know Billy Donovan, so I don't know, but is that seen as like I failed in the NBA and now I'm retreating back to college? Like, I don't know. I would think about that.
Well, here's the problem. I think from the outside, you can't say that he failed. He was a successful head coach, playoffs every year, some success in said playoffs. You know, he's coached a ton of great, talented players. But from the out, once you're on the inside, it's like, yeah, but did he choke job? Did he choke job with some of the most talented young rosters in the NBA and force his front office to make moves that they felt they had to and ship talent out of town because of reasons? So it's a mixed bag. I think he's an above average head coach. I think he deserves another shot in the NBA should he want to. But I could see him going back to college. I got no problem with that. I don't think it's a retreat back to college. I think it's just a very different lifestyle and a very different situation where you have, I feel like college coaches have much more impact.
They have more say. I don't want to say more say, but like
they have more say as far as the guys they're recruiting.
Yeah, they're the one putting the team together. They're basically the head coach, general manager of the team.
I mean, OKC has literally one of the best front offices as far as talent scouting, not necessarily as far as trades though, and contracts, definitely not. But talent scouting, I think that's one of the things that's been awesome. So if he wants to go out there and feel like he can do that too, go to college, go do you, man.
Yeah. And like, I'm looking right now, there's an article, was written months ago, but it was like 15 coaches that could be on an early hot seat, for college. And just by flipping through them, like there are names that yet again, will a season happen this year? And when it does, what's going to happen? But like Tom Crean in Georgia, Will Wade, LSU, blanking on his name, but the coach in Florida where Billy Donovan came from. If he gets fired, would Florida be like, yo, Billy, want to come back and do it all over again? Little Patino, who is up in Minnesota.
He deserves more time.
Fucking what? Chris Collins, fucking the younger Collins, Doug Collins' son at Northwestern. I would say that he would stay either in the SEC or the Big Ten, because those are kind of like I don't see him going out to the West.
Pack guy.
Well, because pretty much his entire career as a coach has been Kentucky, Marshall, Florida, and then OKC Thunder. Like, yet again, you go where
But you don't think he's going to be an assistant coach anywhere? You think this guy's got head coach still on the mind?
He's a head coach, and like that's the thing. We got to wait and see what coaches actually get fired, because right now there's no vacancies in college. So if he wants to go back to college, he's going to have to wait until after this year ends up. And if there's no season, who's going to get fired?
Don't jump right into a job. Sometimes it's good to have that year off, mental break, kind of like Mac Brown. If you listen to any of his stuff, his time in Texas was extremely pressurized. Like he was like winning was a relief. I couldn't be happy because the losses were devastating, and winning, literally, it was just like, thank God we didn't lose.
Yeah.
And he had built himself up into such a horrible situation mentally, around the pressure he put on himself, the pressure on the organization, the pressure from the God, who's the people give money to colleges?
The donors and the board of governors.
The
trustees.
Donors, whatever they are. All the people who fund the basically college sports.
Yeah.
And like he took like 2 years off, and now he's back over at North Carolina doing a fan-fucking-tastic job. Revive that program. They're going to be great again. And he's like, look, I needed a different perspective. I was in my own world.
Yeah.
And I didn't see the game of football the same way until I got that like 3,000-foot view. You know, you have to elevate yourself out of seeing the same exact thing every single day. You got to change that perspective, learn a little bit like Tom Thibodeau did going over to multiple teams. He was an assistant special liaison or whatever his official title was. But basically, he was a defensive expert brought in by multiple teams. He got to interact with players differently. He got to see how different teams do different things.
That was before Minnesota, right?
That was after Minnesota.
After Minnesota, okay.
Yeah, that was in his time lapse between Minnesota and now New York.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I think it's a good thing to take the time. I wouldn't be surprised if he does, especially like you said, due to the situation right now where college coaching vacancies. Who the hell knows for the next year what's going to happen?
Well, I'll even say this too. It's like, let's say there is no season. Are the coaches that were on the hot seat going to get fired? Like, there might be less firings.
Contract, like
that too. Like, is it a contract thing of like, well, you were up at the end of the year anyways. We're not going to re-sign you. But, yeah, the Mac Brown thing is amazing because I didn't even think about that, especially in football where it's like Mac Brown built that program to where it's like if I lose one game, the BCS doesn't put me in the title. So that's why, like, losses, I could see what you're saying there and be like, shit.
Yeah.
Also, last thing I'll say with Billy before we go into CP3 is that Texas could be an opening because Shaka has not been Shaka when it has come to Texas.
Coach.
Maybe.
And we talked him for about 18 openings in the NBA, and he refused to leave college.
I felt bad for Texas this year. I mean, yeah, they had a 19-12 record. It was less than their 21-16 the year before, but like I finally felt like there was something they were finally gonna maybe like break in, because NIT champions the year before, basically runners up, and then this year the tournament getting canceled. I was interested to see what they would do in the tournament. But the other Thunder news, Dave, and this comes from our Discord a little bit, but also there's other articles out there, is what's the next move for the Thunder? And what's the future of CP3? And basically just blatantly asking, are the Thunder going to trade CP3 this offseason, and should they?
It sure as hell looks like they should. I've never seen his value higher. This is a man who literally last year I was like, the worst contract in basketball, bar none. And now everybody's like, he's still really good at basketball.
He can still play.
He can still play. No shit, he's Chris Paul. Like, he's not bad at basketball. He just has an injury history. So the fact that he played an entire healthy year, looked great out there. Some people were talking about him being an all-NBA team kind of guy, third-team all-NBA. I think people have never been higher on Chris Paul since the last time he got moved. So absolutely you should move on from him. You can get out from that massive fucking contract and add value back, whether it's in the form of a semi-made star and draft picks is my expectation. I see a little Discord action, a little bit of Sixers might want to jam their name in that conversation. Well, the Sixers would have to pay up too dearly. So we'll see. Like, I think one way or the other, it feels like by the year 2024, the OKC Thunder will be holding on to about 14 of the 31st round draft picks in the draft.
I was going to say, didn't I? I think it was on my computer I did that trade. There was a part of me that's like, didn't I put one in the Discord yesterday? Let's see here.
A lot of messages in that Discord. There's a lot of messages.
Okay.
You're like 120 messages behind.
I did put one in there. And basically it was because they were talking about CP3 to the Sixers, and like what would be needed. And the trade that I threw out there whether it's two first rounders or 3 first rounders, that's on you to decide. But it would be basically CP3 goes to the Sixers. That's all they get. And they would have to give up Al Horford, Josh Richardson, Zaire Smith, and then their 2020, 2022, and then 2024 draft picks. That's what I had originally. Then I thought 3 would be too much. But after I put it in there, everyone was saying, no, 3 would be spot on for it.
I think 2 and a pick swap, maybe.
Pick swaps too. That's the thing I hate about Trade NBA. Great site. Can't do pick swaps.
2 and then a pick swap the following year after the last one. So that way it's like, well, if the Sixers are good by that point,
yeah. I put Zaire Smith in there because it's like, I know he had the health concerns early and hasn't really been able to be what the Sixers want him to be. And that's a guy where I'm like, I think the Thunder could look at that and go, hey, we'll take on Horford's contract. Cause yet again, we don't know, like by Billy Donovan leaving, they're basically saying that we're not going to compete for a championship anytime soon. So maybe they'll be okay taking on a contract like Horford that, hey, we'll get a guy like Zaire Smith. He hits, play him with Shea Gilgeous.
Did I hear athletic wing? Did I hear athletic wing? Is that Oklahoma's number? Yeah, no shit.
Show me athletic wing.
Yep.
It's up there. You guys can't see it, but it's up there.
No, it's 100% a hit. Like Al Horford, he's a great guy to have around a team at this point in his career. I think that people now realize how much Steven Adams was carried by Russell Westbrook. And he does not, he deserved the contract he got. He will not get another contract like that going forward. So I think Al Horford would be a great add to this team, great mentor, somebody who they can hopefully, I'm hoping they keep Nerlens Noel, and like Al Horford would be a great mentor for him. And obviously they're going to go ahead and draft about 14 new guys on this roster to help fill in the blanks. But no, I love the deal. I absolutely love the deal. I think that's a win-win. Clears cap on the Sixers end as far as the double albatross contracts, and they get stuck with, it's still a horrible contract, but somebody who at least will help them win more games than both of those guys can.
Also, Dave, last thing to end the CP3 talk. It's a fun segment I like to do here. It's basically, I find a SB Nation article or a Fansided article that has already mocked trades for what we're talking about, and we give trades. These are all Bulls trades. Bulls trades for CP3. The first one, and this is by at Andrew Miller at Pippin Ain't Easy.
Sure.
It says the Bulls would get Chris Paul, Dennis Schroeder. I said Devin, I don't know why. Dennis Schroeder, and a future first-round pick for Zach LaVine and Otto Porter. Do you pull that trigger if you're the Bulls?
Zach LaVine, hang on, read it one more time.
So we get CP3 and Schroeder and a future first. They get LaVine and Porter.
No, I don't do that.
See, I don't like that. Why would we want to trade LaVine though? That's my problem. Like, I get maybe it's the ball handler thing, but like,
is our true.
Are we not gonna give LaVine a chance with a new head coach to see what he can do? The second one, go ahead.
From your best player to get Chris Paul, because Chris Paul means you're trying to get.
Yeah.
You're dumb.
Counter-reactive. The second one is the Bulls just get CP3. We just get Chris Paul. We give up Thad Young, Otto Porter Jr., and an unprotected. That's weird. It says unprotected first and a 2020 second. So we're giving up 2 picks in order to get CP. I don't know. That to me says we're giving up a lot for one guy.
If it's not this year's first, I don't care. I'll do that deal. No Thad. No, I mean, Otto Porter's a big loss, but I just have the mind that we just go 3 wide with our guards and we go Chris Paul, Zach, and Kobe out there together, or Chris Dunn even.
Yeah.
Assuming we re-sign him because, again, he should have been
he's an RFA, right?
He's an RFA.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Last win the award means he might be someone we can get cheap now. So we'll see on that deal. But yeah, I like that deal because Thad Young hates us and we hate him.
I like this one better, Dave. There's just one little bugaboo I have with it, but I'm not quite sure if it's a big bugaboo. We get Chris Paul and Steven Adams.
Okay.
And we give up Satoransky, Thad Young,
right,
Otto Porter Jr., and Lauri Markkanen. Lauri is the bugaboo for me. Like, are we trying to move on from Lauri too quick? Just like we're trying to move on from Zach LaVine too quick, it seems like, whenever there's Bulls trades. But I get it. There are two, like, top players trade-wise.
That guts our wing, and we don't get better.
Unless we draft Denny.
Yeah, but we get worse, though.
Okay.
Like, Denny is not a better player than Otto Porter Jr. Today. It's just not.
Yeah, he needs to develop.
Better player than him. Like, it's one of those situations where we're just worse this year, and maybe by next year, if Denny is, excelling at a stupidly quick rate, we're a little bit better. But then Chris Paul's like 50 and earning $47 million a year.
He's like 50.
Supposed to do that?
He's like 50.
What are we supposed to do that? I don't fucking know. I don't want that. The only way I want Chris Paul on my team is if I can get him for shit contracts, whether it's Satoransky and Thad Young and Otto Porter Jr. and a pick that's not this year or next year, preferably.
Fuck it, add in Luke Cornett too.
I don't care about Luke Cornett.
Maybe it's because Boylan loved him too much and I saw too much of him, but yeah, Cornett's rubbing me the wrong way.
Whatever.
I love this guy. He's like 50. Are you talking missed games due to injury? I
mean, I am sort of predicting that Chris Paul will have a bounce back year to his injuries next year. Like, he will go back to being Chris Paul playing 40 games,
Going on into other news, Dave. The Pacers have started interviewing for their job. This is from ESPN. The Pacers are embarking on a wide-range search that has included seeking permission to speak with several assistant coaches in the league, including Spurs' Becky Hammon and Will Hardy, Miami's Dan Craig and Chris Quinn, Dallas's Jamal Mosley and Steven Silas, Milwaukee's Darvin Ham and Charles Lee, Orlando's Pat Delaney, Minnesota's David Vanterpool, Philadelphia's Ami Odoka, I usually fuck up his name, Brooklyn's Jaquez Vaughn, and Portland's Nate Tibbetts. But the big headline here, Dave, is the first round of interviews are in, and Becky Hammon and Dave Yeager are among the candidates. So I just wanted to throw it out there. Becky Hammon, Dave Yeager, if either of these two got the job, would it be the right hire for the Pacers? Or do they fit right with the Pacers?
I mean, first off, always happy to hear Becky Hammon getting interviews, doing well in said interviews. Can't wait to the day that she is hired as the first female head coach in the NBA.
She interviewed for Milwaukee before they gave it to Bud, right?
Yeah. She did. And again, very smart, worked well with young talent, helped on the player dev side, worked with younger rosters. Like, she's got the experience. She's got everything it takes to be a head coach in the NBA. It's just a matter of finding that right fit. Indy could be that right fit because it's a small town. They've got some talented pieces, but it seems like the roster isn't quite locked in yet. So might have some room to kind of tinker with some pieces and the front office make some moves, hopefully consulted on that end. Dave Yeager is interesting to me because I think everybody respects Dave Yeager, but everyone knows everyone hates Dave Yeager after you play for him.
Yeah. Like, isn't he an asshole? Isn't that kind of the
rules? He's an asshole, but you're going to play better. Well, that's going to last for how long? And I think that's the question. He doesn't seem like a long-term guy anywhere, but he seems like a guy who can kick a team into motion, especially after watching what Luke Walton has done shitting the bed with the Kang post Dave Yeager's success. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Yeager would be excellent there. I think Becky would be an interesting fit, and I like her fit there, actually. Stay away from my boy Daniel Craig. No James Bond shit going down. I want him on the Bulls. You want
Craig from Miami on the Bulls?
Yep. I read a rumor online, which made me go, okay, let me investigate who this man is. I learned a lot about him, and now I quickly like him. And I'm not saying he's next Spoelstra, but I'm just saying he worked his way up the same manner as Eric Spoelstra, and now he's under Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra. There could not be better basketball minds, especially after watching what's happening right now with unique rosters, talent development.
When you're picking those minds, Dave, just picking those seeds.
That's all it is. You just hope that things kind of fall into place. So I like him a lot as a head coaching talent. I just don't know. I don't want anyone to take him from me. I want him to be on the Bulls. So that's where I land on that one.
With me, when it comes to this, I would love if Becky Hammon got the job because, like you said, I can't wait until she is the first. I feel like it's coming. She will eventually be the first female head coach.
It should have happened.
Fuck it. I'd love it if the Bulls did it. But I mean, when it comes to Indiana, I think just looking at these two, because those are the names, of course, they're going to interview a lot more. They should do their due diligence. That's what you do as a front office. But the thing I kind of think of is, where do they see this Pacer team? It's a timeline decision that they got to make now, where if they feel like we can compete now and try to add pieces or kind of move roster pieces to still compete now, because they were a playoff team. They're going to be a playoff team. The East is not as tough.
Are they going to be a playoff team again?
East ain't as tough as the West. That's all I'm saying. Like, you could...
John Wall's coming back.
You could... one team, Dave. That's one team that gets in. Like, okay, the Nets are going to be a lot better. Maybe it's not as weak as I thought. But still, I could see the East being a league where it's like, wow, it's 7 teams. It's better than it was, but still that 8th seed you can maybe walk into. Because other than those 2 teams, unless Orlando keeps their roster together and stays a good team.
Like, I think Isaac's out for the entirety of next season, and that's not happening. It's a matter of, like, will Charlotte take a step? Will the Bulls take a step? Will Detroit have a healthy Blake Griffin?
Will the Knicks take a step?
Will learn to play defense? I'm not counting the Knicks. They're at the bottom of the fucking barrel.
Will Peanut Head finally put it together? But, like, they need to make a decision, them being the Pacers, of if they're going to go and compete still, then maybe Dave Yeager may be the guy, because, he may be an asshole, but, like, he'll be a team to push this team. Whereas if you're going to go more in the route of, hey, if we make the playoffs, great, but we're going to go full on into developing and fitting this roster together, and we know there's moves that are going to be done, then I would say Becky Hammon would be the choice.
I agree. And the thing that the thing that Dave Yeager had success with on the Kings was playing up tempo, really utilizing De'Aaron Fox's speed, really working with those transition threes to Buddy Hield.
And you got Victor Oladipo.
Yeah, but you're playing with 2 bigs.
That's the problem.
And Miles Turner cannot play up tempo.
Gotta move Turner in my mind. That's the one they gotta move.
I don't know if coaching style. Maybe he's got other cards in his sleeve. Maybe I'm over typecasting him for where he had his success. But I would like to see kind of what he would do. I think that Becky would be a better fit, perhaps, though.
Yeah. But it's going to be interesting. All these coaching, I can't wait until the first domino actually falls, where a coach gets hired and we get to be like, yes, let's see how this changes the game. But Dave, we're going to take the playoff talk and mesh it with Wet Boys, because they fit in. Let's be honest, there's one person from the West that's getting a Wet Boy. There's one person from the East of yesterday's games that's getting a Wet Boy. So we're going to mesh them together. And if you're new, this is a segment we love to do each and every MVP Sports Live. These are our dampest of dudes, soggiest of shooters, moistest of men, and sometimes the mistiest of misses. These are our Wet Boys, our players of the day from the prior day heading into the show. Patreon.com/MVP vids is how you can also participate and pick your own Wet Boy, because Dave gets a Wet Boy, I get a Wet Boy, and then the patrons also for MVP get to pick their own Wet Boy as well. But Dave, how we do the order, we start off with you. Who's your Wet Boy? September 9th, 2020.
Come on, it can only be one man. The best player in the playoffs period is playoff Rondo. You feared him, you memed him, now he has arrived. After months and months of no game time, it took him literally 2 games to get into playoff Rondo mode. It's insanity. He was insane out there. He was drilling shots, he was making great passes, not turning the ball over too much. Like, again, y'all meme it, but he is a different man when it comes down to playoff time. And when he just, like, I think it was a series of plays where he hit a three and then stole the ball off of somebody else coming up the court and then laid it in. It was like, yep, that shit's over. Like, it just felt demoralizing when Rondo can pull off moves like that on you still. So, credit to Rondo. Hope he does them proud. Still never forget, Bulls would beat Celtics in a 1-8 matchup. Had a playoff Rondo, not gotten injured.
Yep.
All right, playoff Rondo.
Wouldn't have just beat them, Dave. Would have swept them. Don't get that. Like, we were up 2-0, then he got injured. We would have swept the number 1 seeded Celtics.
Let us not forget, he also made Dame Lillard look like a bitch just 2 years ago.
Yeah, he did.
The Portland Trailblazers.
Him and Drew, baby.
Paris by Drew Holiday, Rajon Rondo, double teams. That backcourt looked like they needed a crib back there because they had a bunch of babies.
We were so high, like that. I will never forget how just on the fast break our like paradigm shifts of we were so high on the Blazers, then that happened. We were so low on the Blazers, then they went to the conference finals that year to where now me especially back high on the Blazers, and then they lose in the first round. Yep. It's like, can I ever hit right with this team?
Emotion, man, teeter-totter emotion. Yeah, but playoff Rondo's a game changer. Credit to him. That Lakers.
With playoff Rondo, Rockets done? Rockets are done?
I'm not counting them out yet. It's going to be tough. You're going to need James Harden to perform like James Harden should, not like what we've seen the last couple of games. He needs to be that 40-plus point guy that we know and love.
I was going to say, Dave, how many points does he need?
40-plus.
How many? My wet boy going away from basketball, but it's going to the diamond, Dave. The diamond, if I could do my best DDP. But Gavin Lux deserves it because in a game that went to extras against the Diamondbacks, not only did he have 2 home runs in the game, he had a home run in the top of the 10th, 3-run bomb that if he would not have hit that, the Dodgers would have lost in the bottom half. They ended up winning by 1, mainly because his 3-run shot. They scored 3, I think, in the top half, gave up 2 in the second half. So they almost blew the game in extras. But Gavin Lux getting the go-ahead home run in what would be the game-winning home run. So got to give it to Gavin Lux, the young player, staying in the same city as you, Dave, too. Staying in the same city. LA Lakers to LA Dodgers. But, Dave, here's the other basketball one. Playoff time. And this is where, after I announce the patron wet boy, we'll get into a little conversation about the Heat because Jimmy Butler made comments about how the best performance has yet to come from this Heat team. So I want to ask the question, do the Heat have a final form that we have yet to see? But the patrons voting today for Tyler Hero, Dave, ya boy, had a great playoff performance in the closeout game against the Bucks. The Heat move on. Now they will probably play the Celtics in the next round because I don't see the Raptors getting past the Celtics. I feel like that series is going to end tonight. But Dave,
we'll see.
Do the Heat have a final form? Have we not seen their final form, or are they Frieza?
I mean, they might go Golden Freeze on us. Who knows? Back. Could be another arc. I think we've seen almost the best of them already. Like, it's just a matter of if they all bring it on the same night. That's what we haven't seen. We haven't seen Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, Goran Dragic, Duncan Robinson, Kelly Olynyk, Kendrick Nunn, Iggy, who's looked pretty good out there. I credit to fucking Iggy. I did not expect him to contribute meaningful minutes. He actually looks like a basketball player out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we haven't watched them all pop off on the same night. So no, we haven't seen the best of them because they could be even better than this, which is terrifying to think about because I think we saw the best Jimmy Butler game we're probably going to see. And that was just the ultimate dad dick of a game. It was like, you don't belong in the same league as me moment. And I loved it. So yeah, all they need to do is just hit some more shots. Like if everybody on the team hits shots on any given night, then the opposing team's just fucked. Like that's the position the Heat are at. All their firepower hasn't clicked on the same night. I will admit I was maybe wrong on Kendrick Nunn. He played really good defense out there for them. But Tyler Hero, I think the boys in the Discord got it right. Hero was a nightmare out there, and he has shown that he is not afraid of any shots. He will happily take over the game, and he plays good defense too. Honestly, I did not expect his defense to be of this caliber this early into his career. But the effort's there. He's communicating. He's talking. He's getting in the lane. So, yep, great job by the Heat. And I would be afraid whoever has to face them.
I can't wait for Celtics Heat, Dave. I think that's going to be a best of 7 series that goes all the way. And book it right now because the Celtics are up 14-9, Dave. Book it. Celtics.
It's over.
Like it's
14-9,
over.
That's
it's over. 14-9. You're done. You can't come back from that. But Dave, to end the show, 2 quick NFL newsies coming out today. The season starts tomorrow, but the first one, and this one to me was like a holy shit. Like he's a good player, but yet again, when I saw it, the way it was described by Ian Rappaport, dude got paid, and dude got paid a lot. As Jalen Ramsey and the Rams agree to a 5-year, $105 million contract. And kind of to put that into perspective, I'm going to find the Ian Rappaport tweet real quick, because it was like I said, one of those things where I saw it and I was like, holy shit, like he is not wrong there. Scroll through a little bit. Daniel Hunter, no, don't care. Give me my Jalen Ramsey. The thing about these guys is, Dave, they tweet a lot.
Yeah, it's very hard to find all those tweets.
Yeah, right here. The Rams are making Jalen Ramsey the highest paid defensive back in NFL history by a wide margin. The extension is for 105 over 5 years. That's 21 per year, and has 71.2 million in guarantees. This brings the DB market into a new stratosphere. And that to me was like he kind of has a point there of like, usually when you get to defensive backs, they're not the ones pulling in the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in their contracts. They're more of like the 81 million, which Darrelle Revis was 18.2 million a year when he signed his largest extension back when in 2013 when he signed with the Jets.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's good news, but I mean, it's also just the Rams being the Rams. Like, all they do is sign bad deals, right? They had the highest paid running back in football. They had the highest paid quarterback in football for a while. They had the highest paid defensive tackle in football for a while, right?
Yeah. Aaron Donald. I think Aaron Donald still is. No, there had to be.
No, I think Mac took it over, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Donald and Mac, it was like one sign, then the other sign. I forget the order, but
yeah.
Point being, all the Rams do is throw out the most possible money to their highest caliber player, and then they'll deal with the consequences later. They got lucky; they got a Todd Gurley deal, but like it's still a situation where they're just eating dead money. They're going to eat dead money for a long time. They're a team who is already screwed by the cap. Like they are in a fucked mode. They're actually, I think I heard they were over cap by like 400,000. They had to restructure contracts to get under by the deadline today, actually. So they should have done that. I'm assuming this was part of that. Is he probably pushed some money around? But yeah, no, it's just the Rams have this history of giving out max quality money, and we'll see if it pays off or if they continue to struggle.
So their team cap space right now, this is according to overthecap.com. They're at $604,000 over the cap.
Yep.
So they're just barely over the cap, but they're still over the cap with us. Yeah, and we'll have to see how the Rams even play, because even in our predictions, go check it out. There's some questions about the Rams, especially on both sides with you and I. Last thing, Dave, injury news. Haven't talked injury news in the NFL in a while, but this one's sad. Von Miller suffered a potential season-ending ankle injury. Von Miller injured a tendon in his ankle near the end of Tuesday's practice and expected to need surgery that likely will end his season, a league source tells ESPN. Dave, for me, this was a Broncos team that I had them at 5 wins, I think, because yet again, I described that division as Patrick Mahomes, and then the rest of that division. You were higher on the Broncos this year. That's why I'll ask you, how much of a hit, like, obviously this is a big hit for the Broncos.
It's a big fucking hit.
But how how much will this injury impact the wins losses that you were thinking for a team that you were thinking could have a pretty good year this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think I had them pretty high up there. And again, that was the belief that their defense was going to be bringing back a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be healthy. They would put in a lot of pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. And Drew Lock has a bunch of new weapons. Their offense looks like it could be dynamic. So losing out on one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, gonna suck.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna suck. It's going to mean a lot more shootouts, a lot more mistakes probably caused by Drew Lock because he's going to be out there trying to get them back into games, making some dangerous throws. So this might be Von Miller on his own might be one whole loss. At it. It might be a whole flip of one win, one loss, maybe 1.5, It's just he is such a dynamic force, and the pressure that he puts on opposing teams to double team or to chip creates opportunities for other guys. So it's tough. It's a tough one, especially the one that happened in a non-contact way. Those always suck.
Well, I mean, the other thing too is the Broncos aren't even sure if Bradley Chubb will be healthy in time to start the season. So, especially at the beginning of the season, this could be a Broncos team that's without their best two pass rushers to start the year. So, you're right, puts a lot more pressure on Drew Lock. And if we're doing so you said about 1.5, let's round up and just say it's 2. That means your record, if it's like a 1-2 loss difference, they're looking at being a 9-7 or an 8-8 team because you had them at 10-6, and then I believe I had them at 5 and. Oh, really? Did we talk about them and then I put mine up? I'm looking for the graphic on our video. I'm pretty sure I had them at 5-11. So for me, it'd be more of 4-12 or 3-13, which I don't know if I would make that claim. I would say for me, it would be they're more to that being a under 500 team.
Right.
But it also puts pressure on Vic Fangio. What can you do? You are the defensive mindset. And I know that a player like Von Miller, you lose him, it's the impact on the field. What, the next guy up is going to be Von Miller? No, that ain't going to happen.
Not quite.
But Vic Fangio is a smart enough guy. It's a smart enough guy that I feel like the Broncos aren't behind an 8 ball by as much as they would be if they didn't have Vic Fangio, but it's going to hurt, and it's going to mean the Broncos lose a couple games here and there that they might have won. But Dave, that's going to do it for MVP Sports Live today. Thank you guys for watching on Twitch or YouTube, however you are enjoying your MVP content. Make sure to join that Discord, link down below in the description, or !Discord in the Twitch chat. Make sure patreon.com/MVP vids if you want to help A, support the channel, but B, also interact, get content early, interact with live shows, vote on your own Webboy each and every day, Monday through Friday. That's how you do it, patreon.com/MVP vids. And last but not least, we're on Twitch, twitch.tv/MVP vids, but we're also on YouTube, MVP Sports. I was actually going to put out my draft fits today, but because the draft is being delayed, I'm reworking some graphics. I'm cool, I can make this video even better than I want. So those will be coming out soon. I'm not going to wait super long on those, but patreon.com, you get that a week early at the gold or above tier. But that's going to do it for us. Dave and I will be back tomorrow for more sports news, maybe even previewing a Celtic Heat series if the Celtics close things out today. Soapy and I will be up next with MVP Games Live. I hope you guys enjoy everything. Stay around for Games Live. But as always, have a good day, everybody.